market screams, numbers flash like broken dreams. Buy or sell, which way to lead? Bull or bear, what's the play? Up we ride or down we sway. Make the call, don't delay. Fear and greed, they take their toll, chasing gold but dig a hole. Lose control, it swallows whole. Charts explode, green and red. Panic rushes through your head. Bull or bear, what's the play? Up we ride or down we sway. Make the call, don't delay. Lightning strikes in the trade, fortunes made or lost in shade. Risk the blade, no masquerade. Bull or bear, what's the play? Up we ride or down we sway. Make the call, don't delay. Lightning strikes in the trade, fortunes made or lost in shade. Risk the blade, no masquerade. Pocket full of dreams, no loose change, flipping pennies to dollars. My range insane, cattle grazing wide. Land for the fam, freedom ain't free, gotta buy that land. Stacks on stacks, I'm planting my seed. Freedom's a harvest, it's all that I need. Invest in tomorrow, watch the roots grow deep. Building my empire while the world's asleep. Bought a piece of dirt, turned it into gold. Hustle in my veins, yeah, the story's old. Ain't no Wall Street, this is Main Street grind. Freedom's in the ledger, dollar signs aligned. Greenback stacking, the smell of success. A life without chains, no more distress. Money ain't the goal, it's just the key. Unlocking the door to living free. Hay bale ill stacked, barns full of grain. Portfolios fat, no financial strain. Farm to the markets, flipping what I sow. Freedom's the harvest, watch the profit flow. Stacks on stacks, I'm planting my seed. Freedom's the harvest, it's all that I need. Invest in tomorrow, watch the roots grow deep. Building my empire while the world's asleep. Hay bale stacked, barns full of grain. Portfolios fat, no financial strain. Farm to the markets, flipping what I sow. Freedom's the harvest, watch the profit flow. Stacks on stacks, I'm planting my seed. Freedom's the harvest, it's all that I need. Invest in tomorrow, watch the roots grow deep. Building my empire while the world's asleep.
Let me unmute myself. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Wall Street Weekly. This is something I'm going to start doing on my channel and over on X. We've got 13 people over there, so thank you for showing up over there. I will be talking mostly about traditional finance over here. Today, we will have a little bit of some talk about crypto because, Michael Saylor has his stock and he's going to be doing something quite big with it, offering some dividends. So we'll touch a little bit on some Bitcoin today. But today's focus is going to mostly be about the big AI moves that I'm seeing in the stock world. We will be having a big IPO coming out next week that I will definitely be playing a part in. So let's hop over, take a look at that stock heat map because we're seeing a little bit of some mixed data over there today. We've got Apple sitting up 0.11% right now. Nvidia sitting down 0.16. We got Berkshire Hathaway doing quite nice along with the rest of the financial sector today doing quite decent, sitting up 0.74%. We've got Amazon sitting down 0.19. We've got Eli Lilly up 0.11. We've got ExxonMobil sitting in that neutral range down 0.01. We've got Tesla sitting up 3.68%. We've got P&G down 0.76. We've got Microsoft doing quite nicely, sitting up 1.2%. Google sitting up 0.31 and Meta sitting up 0.5% right now. I see quite a few people hopping into the chats over here on YouTube. Let me take a look at who we got in here so far. We've got JR. He was first in here. He says, I'll wait 2 hours. Lol, JK. But he is back in the chat saying YouTube didn't notify him. I'm sorry about that. YouTube does the same thing to me. Every single time TradeFly goes live, I never get a notification. I don't know what's up with it. We got Alexandra G in the chats. I'm glad to see you here, Alexandra G. She said she'd like those starting tunes. I like that country rap, so that's why I went with that for my intro song for this show. We got Caliphant over here. Good morning or good afternoon to you. She says, what are the hot stocks today? I was just looking at Fidelity, and she said Circle's down. Well, we can definitely take a look at some Circle too. Let me get my notepad pulled up and get that list pulled up. If you got any stocks you'd like me to take a look at, go ahead, drop them in the chat for me. Same with X. Go ahead, drop some stocks in the chat. I will take a look at them when we get over there. We will drop Circle in that list first because we will definitely take a look at that one because I've been talking about that one for a while and it's coming back to some levels. We got Dylan VA in the chat saying good afternoon. He hopes I have a great stream. Well, I hope you've been having a great Friday, Dylan VA. Anyone else in the chat? We got Jesse in here. Good afternoon to you, sir. Hope you're having a great day. JR hustling day and night. Yeah, he pulls that Jesse kind of move. He doesn't get much sleep and he's always active. So glad he's here. Let's see. Alexander G saying I sold my Circle at 233. Well, you might be getting some chances to buy back in. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Let's hop over to some of those news articles. Let's just dive straight on in there because I did see quite a bit of news I wanted to talk about. I didn't get that chance to really do that this morning, so I've got plenty of news to talk about here. FIGMA, which I brought up this week on Good Morning Crypto, is one of those stocks that I will be watching. Figma AI app building tool is now available for everyone. Figma Make, the prompt to apt coding tool that Figma introduced earlier this year, is now available for all users. Similar to AI coding tools like Google's Gemini Code Assistant and Microsoft GitHub Copilot, Figma Make allows users to build working prototypes and apps using natural language descriptions instead of needing to initiate coding skills. While Figma initially launched in its beta full seat users, the subscription tier required to unlock all Figma design products, Figma Make can now be accessed by all Figma users without limitation in place depending on the user subscription plan. The ability to publish designs created by Figma Make will currently still be in beta, will be restricted to users with full seat access. Users on View, Collab, Dev, and free starter seat plans will be limited to experiencing with Figma Make in their personal drafts. So just seeing the next big push in AI, I do see another request. Let's see, NVTS. I will get that one on the list. But I've been keeping my eye on Figma. Figma is big in the AI space, and this is quite a big push, trying to compete with Google and Microsoft to be able to produce software without needing the ability to code. That's quite a big push in AI. AI does very good at coding. It helps me quite a bit sometimes when I want to do some Pine scripts to ease up on my trading, and it's gotten quite better at it with the new updates. But this is a bigger push forward, talking about coding in different languages like C+ and JavaScript, which are needed for web-based applications, is a big step forward, especially for people that don't know how to code. Kind of limits the ability for coders to get a job going forward, and we'll kind of keep our eye on this. Figma will be IPOing next week on July 31st. So keep your eye out on that one. I will be buying Figma stock. They are big in the AI space, and I think this one has plenty of potential. July 31st, we will be talking about that as well. That way you don't miss out on that. Make sure to tune in to Good Morning Crypto. We do have this one as well, Western Union, kind of jumping on that crypto space, but it's a traditional market. It's a traditional market tool, so we're talking about it here. Western Union joins the stablecoin race and eyes crypto partnerships, says CEO. Western Union is exploring ways to integrate stablecoins into its service as the firm seeks to modernize cross-border payments. During a Monday interview with Bloomberg, Western Union CEO Devin McGranahan said that the company views stablecoins as an opportunity. He also said it is exploring partnerships with major crypto industry players to offer stablecoin on-ramp and on-ramp services, as well as a digital wallet. We see stablecoins really as an opportunity, not a threat. We're 175 years old, and we've been innovative across those 175 years. And stablecoin is just yet one more opportunity to innovate, McGranahan said. McGranahan highlighted 3 areas where the company may leverage stablecoins: faster cross-border payment transfers, conversion between fiat and stablecoins, and serving as a store of value in unsuitable economies. A big move in your TradFi sector. This is one of the bigger movers of money when you're talking about cross-border payments, and for them to adopt cryptocurrency is massive. They've already done some work with XRP, and they're still in the works with that one, But to see them adopt stable coins is a big push in the crypto sector. I will be keeping my eye on that. I think they get a little bit of a move off of this news, and we might need to take a look at their stock a little bit later. We'll see how that all lands with the people. Let's see, we got a username in here saying BC stocks are fire. Well, I appreciate that username. I do my best. I keep my nose to the grindstone. Stocks are where I started, and then crypto just really took seat because Bitcoin does some massive things when you're talking about gains. I do like to put most of my stock profits into Bitcoin, but I still play the stock game. So this is another news article I had been looking at. Trump says there's a pretty good chance of an EU trade deal and tariff rebates are possible. This is massive news, as this is the second biggest economy that you're talking about in the world. So let's scroll it on down, get into the meat and the potatoes of the article. The US has a 50-50 chance of striking a deal with the European Union that will result in lower tariffs on imports, President Donald Trump told reporters today. It will be a deal where they have to buy down their tariffs, he said, as he departed the White House on his way to Scotland, where he will meet the United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and he will visit his new golf course in Aberdeenshire. I don't know. Nailed it. We're just going to move on. I think the EU has a pretty good chance of making a deal, he added. The 27 bloc faces a tariff rate of 30% on imports to the U.S. if no deal is struck by next Friday. The EU is also planning to raise levies on imports from the U.S. if a pact isn't made. Trump said Thursday that Japan brought down the 25% tariff rate set to go into effect on August 1st to 15%, in part by committing to investing $550 billion in U.S. industries, with most of the profits going to the U.S. He suggested that others, including the EU, could strike similar deals. We'll be keeping our eye on this one quite heavily because we move a lot of goods in between us and Europe, and they're a little bit dependent on our oil, our grain, and our meat. We are one of the bigger producers there. They do have some deals with Brazil and countries down in South America for some beef, but to see us take that main stage would be very, very big for the U.S. farm industry, considering that they've taken some hits this year. Let's see what we got in the chats. AG, I feel bad. I was trying to be cool, but not hugging you back. Oh no, you can't skip out on Alexandra G. That's like someone going for a high five and just leaving them hanging, JR. You got to get in there. We got Caliphant saying BC bringing all the TradFi alpha. I do my best. This is where I'm going to try to do that a little bit more. And we'll save the crypto for Good Morning Crypto, hence the names. I should be able to do this every single Friday when we get to August. So hopefully I can keep bringing those your way. What do you think of NVTS? Well, when we get done with this last news article, we'll hop into some of those requests. I do have a few indices I wanted to take a look at. Definitely gold, probably the dollar as well, and then we'll dive into some of those requests. This was the last article I was looking at today. United Airlines grounds entire fleet of planes nationwide after an emergency alarm. Kind of a biggie here, United Airlines is one of the bigger producers of airplanes in the United States, and we'll kind of have to see if something gets resolved on this. United Airlines issued a nationwide ground stop for all mainline flights on Thursday after its Chicago operator centers and experienced an emergency alarm. According to the statement from the airline, a fire alarm inside the network's operations center in northwest suburban Arlington Heights caused employees to move to a backup faculty nearby amid a harrowing year of airline scandals and tragedies. A fire alarm sounded at our operations center, which caused our employees to move to our nearby backup facility and resulted in a brief nationwide ground stop of United aircraft, United told Fox News. Employees have returned to our primary operations center and the ground stop has been lifted. But this is quite a biggie. You've been seeing a lot of news coming out about these airplanes. Airplane crashes, near misses, a lot of systems going havoc. And this is just the next big news for United Airlines. And, there was a little bit of a buying opportunity off of the news. Didn't get a chance to talk about it this morning, but we will continue to see news like this coming out, especially with the rush that they've been doing. We've got Boeing getting those big contracts, so maybe if United Airlines can get their stuff together, you might have a little bit of a buying opportunity. We will take a look at that one a little bit later. Let's see, I've been doing better in stocks, man. Maybe holding them longer and they're not going through huge drops. Yeah, that's why I've been focused a lot more on the stocks. Altcoins are great, but altcoins aren't great when there's 30 million of them, and that's why I'm back to the stocks. My portfolio over on the stock side has been doing way better than any of those altcoins have done. People were talking about those nice, like 10% pumps towards the upside on some of those alts the other day. I was like, my portfolio did that in a couple of days with some nuclear stocks, but to each their own. If you like your alts, hold your alts, but don't knock the stock market. It's been doing quite well. Let's see. Almost like they're prepping us for flying saucers and teleporting machines. Oh my goodness, JR. I don't have my tinfoil hat ready. So maybe a little bit later we can do a tinfoil hat sector of this show. We'll kind of have to see what do people think about it. I've got some other things that I'm supposed to be doing, like buying a suit and getting a monocle and maybe a little bit of a cane, and we'll be all fancy here on Wall Street Weekly. Let's hop over to some of those indices because they've been making all-time highs. No, don't hold them. Trade them, says JR. I can agree with that. I'm in a trade on Bitcoin Cash right now. I shorted it, and it's doing all right. But I wouldn't buy Bitcoin. I'll buy Bitcoin Cash in the bear market. But for now, I've just been loading my stock bags, really loading up on my retirement account, and DCAing into some key stocks in that nuclear sector and the healthcare sector, because that's been very battered down. Let's hop over to the NASDAQ, though. I know JR had been trading the NASDAQ for this past week. He finally opened a Webull account, which if you don't have a Webull account, that link is in my YouTube description. Go ahead. They've got quite a few perks. They also match your 401k if you're a Plus member. So that's something I've been taking advantage of. 3.5% match. Since my employer doesn't offer one, that's my best go-to. You do have the NASDAQ making those all-time highs, moving a little bit sideways here on the daily. We did talk about wanting to see a little bit of some money flow coming in on the shorter term time frame, and we're still not seeing that. We're seeing that nice holding, that money flow holding nice and steady here on the daily. Let me get that moved over just a little bit more so you can see it. There we go. Money flow holding nice and steady on the daily, but that volume starting to slow down incredibly here. Not too unexpected. We have made continuous all-time highs after we broke 20,197. We got a little bounce off of it and then continued on the way up. I am targeting that 1618, 22,101, but you could see a little bit of a pullback before that. Seeing that 4 hour looking just as toppy. MACD trying to cool down a little bit as we're making those highs, but we've got two bearish divergences stacked up here. Money flow barely in the green, volume picking back up, and that prime oscillator rolling back over as your MACD line remains below your indicator line here and getting a little bit of some curvature back down. Taking a look at that 1 hour. 1 hour looking quite toppy as well. So seeing us get a little bit of some pullback here would not be too unexpected. We do have a nice little level down here at about 20,500-ish. 500 to 550 to about 600. Let me get that pulled up as a CME gap so you can see that there. There we go. 550 up to there. 596. It is closed, but CME gaps and fair value gaps like to get replayed over and over again. That is a strong little area to come back to. You can see how much support we have on the bottom side of that CME gap right here. We got 4 touches on it, so a nice little area to kind of pull back down to, really cool off those oscillators, confirm those new highs that we had made, and then try to make our way back up to that 1618. Seeing that cool off would not be too unexpected here. We do have that 15-minute looking like we're continuing to see a little bit of some rollover here, but we are still on the way up. We are bouncing off of those old highs right here just a little bit. To see us pull back down to that first would be something to kind of watch for. That was that $21,000 and about 39 cents there. That's kind of what I would watch for on the 15-minute. See if we can get a little bouncing action off of that. Try to retest some of the highs there before we make our way back down. Really see that sell-off head our way. Let's see, JR trap pull downs, bruh, gotta stay flexing. Oh my goodness. Let's see, trade stocks with Webull and get free shares with your sign up. Thanks for sharing that link there, Alexandra G. I won 5 in a row this week. First timer lucky streak. Well, you know, hopefully you can keep up with that. It is a little bit easier. They don't have as big massive moves. The volatility isn't as extreme. So when you catch that nice big upward movement, you can catch that nice big upward movement without that worry of a nice big liquidation wick coming down there to grab your entry. Let's see what else we got here. Should have known. He's the trap king, not to be confused with my old career. Oh my goodness. I should have read that in my head before I read that out loud. Well, let's see. Caliphant saying, maybe I should dabble with trading the NASDAQ. See, that's why I like some futures or, options. It really gives you that ability to capitalize on some of these movements without really buying the asset. It's kind of the same way that Bitcoin is, where it's like, why would I buy this at $20,000 right now when I could just trade on it when I see those big moves coming, like this bounce we had talked about. Came in off a moving average, and then you just put those profits into something like Bitcoin or the NASDAQ. You make your money off of it, and then you park those profits in there to continue on their growth when you get that little pullback you were expecting. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 because it's been doing pretty much the same thing, making those new all-time highs. Stock market has been on a tear towards the upside. We did get a nice little retest of our last all-time high here before we got that nice launching off of that all-time high to make a new all-time high. We got Wick's wife in the chat. Good morning or good afternoon to you. Hope you're having a great day. Let's get this zoomed out a little bit further. Take a look at that daily here, because this daily is making quite a lot of fair value gaps here. We broke out of our fib retracements here, and now we need to get a little bit of a fib extension tool pulled up. Have to pull this up from way back here. Let's hide our fib retracement. There it is. And get a fib extension tool pulled up here. We've got the lows to our, oh, wrong one, fib extension. There we go. Lows to the high. There we go. To the lows here, and making our way towards the platinum pocket on our extension. We did get a little bit of a hold up at that 50, blasted straight through our golden pocket on the extension, and now we're just waiting to see that nice little rejection, which that's what I'm kind of looking for off that platinum pocket. Daily does look a little bit toppy. It is trying to break our indicator line. Prime oscillator sitting in the light red, also looking a little bit toppy here. You could see that try to print a bearish divergence here once we make a little bit of a top. So that money flow is what we're going to be watching as well on that shorter term time frame, as your volume has slowed down quite a bit, not unlike the Nasdaq. We do have that 4-hour also looking like it's getting a little bit toppy. You have one bearish divergence stacked up, and you could see a second start to print once we really confirm our next high. And that high that I'm targeting is going to be $6,437. We'll kind of see if we can get up there. Money flow sitting a little bit in the red, but waiting to see if we get that continuation as volume starts to increase just a little bit. Take a look at that hourly. Hourly also looking like you could see that continuation pump just a little bit as we're on the top side of our indicator line on the MACD. Your prime oscillator heading back towards the upside, looking in the light red on that. But your volume's starting to slow down just a little bit. We are trying to get up to that $6,434 mark, but we're running out of steam just a little bit there. 15-minute looking a little bit toppy as well. We did make a little bit of a lower high here on your MACD. Your prime oscillator has a bearish divergence stacked up, waiting for that next bearish divergence to really stack up on top of that. Let me get that zoomed in a little bit better so you can see it. There we go. Waiting for that second bearish divergence to really confirm once we make that next little high there. Your money flow barely in the green as your volume is quite low here as well. So kind of watching that money flow, trying to push that price back up, but it's running out of steam here on the 15-minute. We have been, I never run out of steam, says username. Well, you might not. But some of these buyers are running out of steam, you know, only so much money to really push prices up to those targets. To see us bounce off of that $6,400, almost $40 price point, and then come back down, really retest the highs would be something I would watch for. That's that $6,381 point on the S&P 500. We are making another new all-time high. So stock's been on an absolute tear here. We do have a few levels below that, but we'll kind of have to take this level by level. Let's see. I feel like crypto trading this year is trading boot camp. Maybe futures would be nice after that. It probably would be. It's very, very easy when you're talking about some of the patterns that people bring up. People bring up patterns all the time in crypto, and I feel like that's the easiest way to get trapped into something, because you'll very, very easily watch those patterns go the opposite way and then head the exact way that you were watching after they grabbed all of the liquidity that was sitting at the bottom side. So that's something I like quite nicely on the stocks. I can trade some patterns. I'm not the biggest pattern trader, but I noticed patterns seem to work out just a little bit more on the stock side. You do have the Dow Jones also making those all-time highs, seeing a little bit of an undershoot on this last push up. It did get a better pullback than The rest of those markets, they are making those all-time highs. As you had seen, Dow Jones making a next little push towards our last all-time high that we had made. Our all-time high is that 45,060, and we're trying to make our push back up towards that right now. Dow Jones is a little more battered on that. We did make that little bit of a lower high here potentially on the 15-minute. Let's zoom this on out. Take a look at that daily though, because that's where we like to start when we do our top-down analysis here. You can kind of see that a little bit better here. We're bumping up against all-time highs right now. You do have your daily trying to get that curvature back on our MACD as we're making our way towards our indicator line. Your prime oscillator also making its way back up. We'll kind of have to watch that money flow as volume has started to slow down just a little bit here as well. Not too unexpected as we approach these all-time highs. People are trying to wait to see what's going to happen. You do have a few levels underneath that I'd kind of keep my eye on. 43,786. Let me get that marked out there from the highs over here and the lows here, but we'll just mark it from this low right here. Got that 43,766 that I'd kind of keep my eye on if we reject off of that top side there. Let's see, username must break the internet with BC. I've always been down for it. Username is a little timid when it comes to being on a live stream, but maybe if we can get some more subscribers and some more watch hours, and we could throw him a little bit of cash, he might make some live appearances. I told him he could wear a mask, that way he doesn't have to like fully expose himself on the internet, but yeah, we'll see what he says. I'm pushing for it. We'll see if username says he's down for it in the chat. Let's see. Look at those SpongeBobs. Let's see. JR says collab. JR says I'll go hard for it. Alexandra G seems to enjoy it. We'll see. Okay, we need 1K likes on the stream by December 1st. Well, y'all better share this stream out extremely hard. Get us to 1K likes, and then we can get username on here. We'll see if that happens. We do have the Dow Jones also looking like you could see a little more push towards the upside here on the hourly. Your MACD trying to break towards the top side of our, let me control Z that. There we go. And let me lock it so we don't move it. There we go. We got that MACD making that push back towards the upside, trying to break towards the top side of our indicator line here. We got our prime oscillator curving back up as well. And waiting to see if some of this data that we're going to get next week will kind of hamper its price. We do have JOLTS job openings at the beginning of the week next week, and we've got GDP growth rate to kind of send things in the wrong direction if things are still not looking awesome. We do see the forecast coming out a little bit positive, but we'll kind of have to keep our eye on that. That is the beginning of the week next week. We'll dive a little bit heavier into that next week. We do have our money flow still kind of looking a little bit hampered here as your volume is a little bit low, waiting for that all-time high to really make a decision either way on if we're going to get that continued money flow coming on in here. We do have the 15-minute with a reversal signal that has flashed here. You're getting a little bit of some rollover, but your volume's starting to peak back up as we're approaching that all-time high. So really waiting on that all-time high to make a decision either way. We'll kind of have to get our fib extension tool pulled up when we get to that point. Let's take a look at that Russell 2000. That's our small cap stocks. Russell 2000 making some big moves as well towards the upside, but seeing a little bit of some hesitation there. We are not anywhere close to all-time highs like the rest of everything. Not too unexpected, as this is more risk on than that risk off model of the S&P 500 or your NASDAQ or your Dow Jones there. Let's get our fib extension tools pulled up. We've got the lows to the highs to that nice little bounce off our 50% line on our retracement. Let's lock that, get our fib retracement hidden, and we'll take a little bit of a look, see where we're sitting at now, because it does look like we're trying to make a little bit of an uptrend here. We're sitting directly on top of our golden pocket on our fib extensions. We do have a few CME gaps below us, but it looks like we're making our way all the way through all of those and trying to make our way back up towards our very strong resistance at $2,324. That is that last little area we saw very strong resistance at before we dropped all the way back down to the 50% line on our fib retracement there. Let's get that zoomed on in, take a look at the 4-hour, because that daily is looking a little bit toppy here. But you can definitely see that extension all the way up towards that last resistance area. 4-hour getting a little bit of sideways momentum here on the MACD. We've got a bearish divergence that is stacked up. We're 3 reversal signals deep as we've been making those highs, but still seeing that curvature back towards the upside on that prime oscillator as well. Let's get that 1-hour pulled up. 1-hour getting that little bit of a bouncing action off of our golden pocket fib extension, seeing that curvature on our prime oscillator and the MACD as well, as that volume starts to slow up just a little bit. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens here at that 2,324. Is that going to be some resistance? Is that going to be some support? If we do see that come in as a little bit of an area we can get through, I would expect to see that volume start to pick back up and try to make our way back up towards that platinum pocket at $2,391. Let's take a look at that 15 minute showing that bouncing action, seeing a little bit of some stalling back here at the highs where we got that bounce action off of the golden pocket fib extension. That 2,261 for the short term is going to be a little bit of a resistance area we need to get above before we can get all the way back up to that $2,283. That's that next little area I would kind of watch for. Got that marked out as a short term. Let's get this marked out as a long term. There we go. Lock that and lock this one as well. So we got a few areas directly above us where we could potentially see some resistance, cool down those shorter term time frame oscillators, and then continue our way back up to our very strong resistance at 2,324. Let's see what we got going on in the chats here. Let's see. I'm also known as the Dog King, says username. I love dogs. Mine died 2-ish years ago. Rip Pitbull. Oh, I am sorry to hear that, JR. Hopefully you've got a new furry friend that you can take your walks with. I know mine's back there sleeping on my pillow right now. So it's chilling, waiting on us to go on our physical activity for the afternoon. We were supposed to do that earlier, but the leash is not home. His mom took it with her in her car, so we're gonna have to save that for later. So hopefully you've got a new fur baby there. Let's dive into some gold. I was taking a look at that one as well. And gold, unlike the rest of everything, getting pushed all the way down. We are seeing that 382 236 coming in as some resistance. We did talk about on Good Morning Crypto wanting to see that push up to 3,430. We got that very strong push up to 3,430 after that strong bouncing action off of the 236. We are right back to that area, kind of seeing it come in as some resistance now. Let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at the 4-hour there. 4-hour looking a little bit bottomy, which is kind of what you want to see, but we will have to break back above the 236 here. Let's see. BC get first dibs on my YouTube debut. I am a-okay with that one. Hopefully we can get those likes and get username on here. Dog pics in the Discord. Well, I will have to drop that. If you're not a part of the Piper Academy Discord, uh, oop, oop, uh, let me get that pulled up. I have that link somewhere, or if someone beats me to it. Uh, let's see. I know I moved some of my notes around. So let me get that pulled up there. We've got, there it is. And let's get, let's get that pulled on up. Links. There we go. And here we go. Gotcha beat. There we go. Piper Academy Discord. If you're not a part of it, you definitely should be. We do a lot over there. We have a lot of fun as well. And let me share that over on X as well for all of you people. We've got that Piper Academy Discord. You should definitely be a part of it. We have a lot of fun. We do a lot of this stock talk there as well. We talk about setups. We also have some crypto traders if you're into crypto trading. And JR is one of those mentors that we've got. So gold looking a little bit bottomy here on the 4 hour. We do have the 1 hour also getting a little bit of a bounce back up to that 236, which we will need to turn back into some support before we can try to get our way back up to some of those highs and resistance areas. We do have 3,362 being that next strong resistance area to kind of watch for. That one's not in play anymore. It did get a little bit of some action previously, but looks like it's being disregarded now. So that 3,403 is going to be that next real topping area I'd watch for. We did get a lot of resistance on that. Short term, I would kind of look for 3,373. Let me get that as a shorter term time frame one. There you go. That is all locked for you. Dazed and Confused reference. Oh, that is a great movie there, as Kelefant agrees. We are waiting to see that push back above our 236 for gold and try to make our way up to 3,373 before we make our way back up to those 3,400 areas. 15-minute. Looking a little bit toppy here as your money flow is in the red, but it's trying to get that push back into the green. Seeing a little bit of sideways momentum coming in as we try to approach that 236. Not unexpected. Might see that next higher low be made and a little bit of a reverse of trend here. Waiting to break above the 236 is what I would kind of watch for. All right. We had a few requests. So let's take a look at some Circle. We are seeing Circle making some lows, breaking below our CME gap here. Let's get that zoomed on out. Take a look at the daily there. There we go. You can see that a little bit better. We had this nice support area, which we had gotten a little bit of a bounce off of. That came in right exactly where our resistance lined up to. That was some old resistance that we had got above, got that nice little launch towards the upside. We broke back towards it, got a little bit of a bouncing action, saw some resistance at the top side, the bottom side of our CME gap, and now we're breaking below that old support line. So looking like you have the potential to come back down to some of those areas I've talked about before, and that's going to be $176 for some Circle. That is my kind of buying area start for Circle. I did buy back there when we got to there from our pullback off of the 2618 there, waiting to see if we can get back down to it. I do have that platinum pocket coming in as a line in the sand for a little the stop of some buying, and then seeing if we can drop all the way back down towards our 382 kind of 50% line on our fib extensions. Let me get that old CME gap pulled up as well. We do have that one coming in here from candle body to candle body, and that's going to be basically from the 382 there to the golden pocket on our fib extensions. That one we will color back in because it has not been filled and it is wide open waiting to be filled. Let's take a look here at our 4 hour, get a little bit more data here. You have that seeing a little bit of some bouncing action off of what was resistance. We got that nice strong bounce off of it, came back down to it, got one little bounce, seeing a little bit of a lower high be made here on the 4 hour, but seeing this hold up as some support. So trying to wait to see if we can get some money flow coming back in, because that's not what we're seeing here on the 4 hour. Get this zoomed out just a little bit. You can kind of see that money flow breaking very heavily into the red as we're seeing that prime oscillator start to get a little bit of some sideways momentum, but we do see very strong resistance coming in at that $200 mark. That is the bottom side of our old CME gap. You do have this old resistance area, this old support area, which might come in as some resistance as well. So waiting to kind of see if we can get that push back up towards the 200. MACD running a little bit sideways here, but breaking below our zero line. Let me get that moved over so you can see it better. Breaking below our zero line, but doing so with a little bit of some sideways momentum here. So just waiting to see what kind of happens back up at that 200 level. If not, might be making our way back down to $176. That's where I'll start some buy-in. If we break below this 160 area, I will stop my buy-in and wait to see if we come back down towards our CME gap here. That was that golden pocket at $148. That's a nice little area to watch for some bouncing on. That is also the golden pocket of our fib extensions. If we can't hold that, the bottom side at 132 is that next little area to watch for. I don't know if we get all the way there. Seeing us come to the midline of our CME gap at 140 would be that real next thing I would watch for. You do have the 1 hour looking like we're seeing a little bit of some rollover as well, trying to get some money flow to come back in. You see that money flow barely in the green here. That MACD running a little bit sideways as we've broken above the top side of our indicator line, but we're remaining below our zero line here. Seeing a little bit of some rollover here as well, and we did get a little bit of a peak seeker here. So waiting to kind of see what happens as we approach these old resistance and support lines, see if we can get some broadening here, that push back up to 200, and see if we can turn that into some support. We tried to hold that back here, and you can see there's the potential for an order block to be sitting in that area as we have that nice sideways price action right above that 200 price point. I would look at that as some potential resistance with how toppy all of those indicators are really looking on our higher term time frame. 15 minutes, trying to get a little bit of some cool off after we got that nice strong bouncing action. Money flow sitting in the red and has been for quite a while. Have to zoom that on out. Money flow been sitting in the red since way back here at the top side of our CME gap here, waiting for that to kind of switch. Your volume has been going back and forth, back and forth. We are seeing that pump coming with a little bit of some volume, so waiting for that selling pressure to really exhaust here. I'll wait and buy some more Circle BC. That's kind of my move here. I did not end up selling any. I've just been doing the long-term play. I did think that we would come back down, get some more buying opportunities, and I definitely talked about that one. Username saying my average circle at 31. I had those orders set. My orders did not get filled, so I was quite disappointed. I missed out on most of the action. I waited for some buying opportunities, did not get this one, and then started buying in back here. So I did get a few buys, not as many as I would have liked, and not as at the prices I would have liked, but I think we still got some more buying opportunities headed our way. All right, we had NVTS requested. So let's take a look at that. NVTS. Novantis Semiconductor Corporation. Sounds like a decent stock off of the name. Let's take a look at the daily here. Nice double bottoming action, seeing us break back towards the highs that we saw some resistance at. So let's get a horizontal drawn up for the resistance there. That is going to be some very strong resistance coming in at the candle body tops. There we go. We'll ignore the wick from that nice break above. Going to be $10.83 that we'd kind of look for next. We are making some gap in action as well. So let's get our first CME gap drawn out, which is a massive one there. We did get a little bit of a break back into it, but it is still open. I would expect to see that left open for a little while. Maybe wait to see some extremely bad news for that pullback there. Let's get that drawn out too. That is our next CME gap from 692 to 746. Let's get this drawn out on an even higher term time frame there. See what we're looking at. Maybe go from the highs here to the lows. Seeing us get that rejection off of our platinum pocket there, seeing that platinum pocket get a little bit of some bouncing action. Let's see what we're looking at on a shorter term time frame. Platinum pocket coming in as some resistance. That is $9.12 being our strong resistance area for now. Waiting to see if we can get back up to those highs at 11.19. We do see the daily being a little bit toppy here. Let's see what that weekly was looking like. Weekly does have some potential to continue towards the upside. Money flow in the green holding quite nicely. You've got some curvature here back towards the upside as well. Volume holding steady as well. And MACD on its way back towards the upside. Let's get back towards that daily. MACD getting a little bit of some sideways momentum there as we're above the indicator line. You've got some curvature over on your prime oscillator as well, but staying in the green as it's doing that with some overbought signals, and money flow still in the green as volume starting to pick back up. So we'll kind of have to see if we can get that nice strong bouncing action off of the top side of our CME gap again. If you cannot hold that golden pocket and $7.52, I would look to close that CME gap and come all the way back down towards the 50. That's going to be $6.34 there. Might be a little bit of a nice buying area. I don't know much about the stock, but that's kind of what I would look for with just the price action. You do have a nice little bottoming here at 5.69 that I would look for some strong support if you don't hold that 50. Let's take a look at the hourly here. Hourly also looking a little bit toppy. Money flow still in the green, but heading on the way back down, same as the true 7. Volume holding quite steady here, so we'll kind of have to wait to see with these reversal signals having played out if we can get that nice bounce off of the top side of that golden pocket. Zoom it on in, take a look at the 15 minute looking a little bit bottomy, so we might make another little push back up towards our platinum pocket, $9.13, before we really see that extremely strong resistance coming into play. 327, 326, 326 JR. Let's see, 1,000 for username, 1,227 for username with JR. He says 327. Oh, maybe that's what he was talking about. I say if we can get let me get a little bit of a refresh. See what we're at 7 likes. If we can get 10 likes, we can bring JR on. I'm sure he'd love to come on and talk about some of that degeneracy that he likes to pull. So looking like we're getting a little bit close to the end of the hour here. It is 1:53 my time. He said no, just run with it. All right, we got any other requests? I'm not seeing any on the X side, but I have time for one more. Do a little bit of a deep dive. If not, I can take a look at something that's in my portfolio that's been doing very, very well. So it is up to you. We take a look at what's doing really well in my portfolio, or we take a random request. So let me know. I will play that little waiting song from Jeopardy. Do 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 do. SoFi. We can take a look at some SoFi, and then if we got some time, we can take a look at my stock that's been doing well. SoFi Technologies. I'm pretty sure that is in that monetary BC recommendation. I think we'll have some time for that. SoFi been ripping towards the upside. I believe that's in the money side of things on TradFi. So let's get that fib extension pulled up. We've got the lows to the high to the low, looking like we're at the top side of our fib extension there, making some nice strong moves. We do have a little bit of a gap. Let's get that pulled up on the daily so we can get that gap drawn a little bit better there. That might be an area to pull back to if we don't hold the top side of that extension there. We've got that coming in at $19.21 for the bottom, all the way up to almost 1980 there, coming in at 1979. So a bit of a CME gap to watch for some fill-in if you don't hold the top side of our fib extensions. We do have that. I've got the SoFi FOMO. Well, looking how toppy it is here on the daily, you might get some buying opportunities. I would wait to see if this top side of our fib extension holds. If not, you've got a little bit of a buying opportunity coming in at those at that CME gap. You can see that top side was some nice support before we got that pushback up above the top side of our fib extensions. You have our platinum pocket, which was never really retested as some support. We saw it come in as some resistance back here. I would wait to see if we fill this CME gap and then come back down towards the platinum pocket. See us coming back down towards the golden pocket as well if this weekly looks how I think it does. And weekly does look how I think it does. It is looking a little bit toppy here after we made those very strong pushes back up towards what was almost all-time highs here. So let's get those horizontals drawn out above us, and then we'll get those drawn out to the bottom side, coming in at 2309. That's that area that we almost saw us reject off of when we got that pushback towards the upside. So I'm pretty sure SoFi is that new banking app, if I'm not mistaken. On, let's see, what is SoFi and is she available for JR? Well, I believe it's that American banking app. So I don't think so. We don't want your funny money that's all colorful in our U.S. banks, JR. I'm sorry. I didn't make the rules, though. I didn't make the rules. But if you can get some U.S. dollars, and I'm slonging right now, says JR. What are you slonging, sir? Are you slonging in the crypto markets, or are you doing that in the TradFi markets? You can see us trying to hold up the top side of our fib extensions here, coming in at 2116. And waiting to see if we can see that bounce in action. You do have that MACD and prime oscillator looking like it's heading back towards the downside. MACD to the bottom side of our indicator line here. We've got a hidden divergence here as well. You've got a prime oscillator heading back down. Money flow trying to hold in the green, but your volume slowing up just a little bit after we saw a little bit of some resistance coming in. So might be waiting for a buying point to come back in. 15-minute also doing the same thing, breaking towards the bottom side of our our indicator line. He said, nah, some poopy doopy coins. So that's not unexpected for some JR action. me over here shorting Bitcoin Cash and him shorting some poopy doopy coins. So you have some fun with that, sir. We've got Prime Oscillator also heading back towards the downside as our money flow is breaking back towards our zero line. We've got that volume extremely muted as well, so we're just waiting to see if we can hold the top side of our fib extensions. If not, we're waiting to see if we can get some volume coming back in at our CME gap closure. So making those almost highs on SoFi, and then waiting to see that cool down. Not too unexpected. You have some areas to the bottom side coming in at 1743 below the platinum pocket that I would watch for as well. That's going to be the highs from there and the lows there before we got that pushback towards the platinum pocket there. Be right back. De-risking. Oh my goodness, JR, you and your degeneracy. All right, let's take a look at one of those assets I've been talking about since January, making that push back up towards the golden pocket on our fib extensions here. Let's get that pulled up to the daily here. You can kind of see making those all-time highs. I've been talking about SMR for quite a while, seeing some resistance come in at that golden pocket extension coming in. We do have a little bit of an area below us that we could potentially watch for. That's going to be a CME gap. Let me get that pulled on up so you can kind of see where you might see a little bit of some buying action coming in. That's $47 to $45.86. Yep, that is colored in because that is open. We do have the top side of our our fib extension being an area to watch for as well. We didn't really retest that as some strong support. We saw it come in as some resistance here. We saw it come in as some resistance here. We saw it come in as some resistance here, and it's untested. Seeing us reject a little bit off of that golden pocket fib extension would not be unexpected. We're getting a little bit of sideways momentum on our MACD, sideways momentum on the prime oscillator. Money flow still solidly in the green, but volume slowing up just a little bit. Hourly looking a little bit toppy here. You do have a divergence, which is stacked up, double stacked up here. You do have that peak seeker from back here, which we broke above before we really saw that reversal signal. And this is where you've seen that money flow starting to slow up just a little bit. So I do think you might get some buying opportunities on SMR if you aren't already in and you weren't listening to me at the beginning of the year. We do have some nice strong support areas down here at 33.69 as well if you don't hold the top side of that fib extension. Let's get that drawn out. That's that other area I would kind of watch for if you fill this, which is a CME gap inside of a CME gap, bottom side being 44.22.52 that I'd kind of watch for a little bit of some bouncing action at, see if we can hold up, and then make our way back down, kind of cool off some of those oscillators. We are overheated on the hourly, we're overheated on the 4 hour as well, we are overheated on the daily, and getting up to that weekly, we are overheated as well. Starting to see a bearish divergence stack up. You might see another one stack up on top of that if we do some fiddle farting around up here and close a candle back up towards that golden pocket fib extension. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. That is all I got. It has been an hour and 2 minutes. So I hope to see you at the next one and hope to see you Monday morning, bright and early at Good Morning Crypto. If you got anything you'd like to see going forward on the show, make sure to drop that in the comments. I am still building this show up and hoping to have a lot of fun with you. I will see y'all at the next one. Have an amazing weekend.
Pocket full of dreams, no loose change, flipping pennies to dollars. My range insane, cattle grazing wide, land for the fam. Freedom ain't free, gotta buy that land. Stacks on stacks, I'm planting my seed. Freedom's the harvest, it's all that I need. Invest in tomorrow, watch the roots grow deep. Building my empire while the world's asleep. Bought a piece of dirt, turned it into gold. Hustle in my veins, yeah, the story's old. Ain't no Wall Street, this is Main Street grind. Freedom's in the ledger, dollar signs aligned. Greenback stacking, the smell of success. A life without chains, no more distress. Money ain't the goal, it's just the key. Unlocking the door to living free. Hay bale ill stacked, barns full of grain. Portfolios fat, no financial strain. Farm to the markets, flipping what I sow. Freedom's the harvest, watch the profit flow. Stacks on stacks, I'm planting my seed. Freedom's the harvest, it's all that I need. Invest in tomorrow, watch the roots grow deep. Building my empire while the world's asleep. Hay bale stacked, barns full of grain. Portfolios fat, no financial strain. Farm to the markets, flipping what I sow. Freedom's the harvest, watch the profit flow. Stacks on stacks.